When the rescuers first saw Cassie, they didn't see a dog. They saw a shadow trying to melt into a concrete wall, a living soul so terrified of the world that she was literally trying to disappear before their very eyes. Most dogs bark or cower, but Cassie's fear was different. It was silent, heavy, and absolute. She didn't just hide. She tucked herself so tightly into the corner of her kennel that her bones seemed to vibrate against the floor. Every person who walked by saw the same thing. A dog who had completely given up on the concept of safety. The clock was ticking because Cassie hadn't arrived from a loving home. She was a transfer of necessity. Her previous shelter had run out of room, and in the world of high-volume rescues, no room usually means a final walk to a cold room. No one could bear to see her life end before it had truly begun, but the staff at Hope for Life knew they were taking a massive gamble. They weren't just taking in a dog, they were taking on a project that might never see a return. The rescue was already over capacity, funds were tight, and every hour spent trying to coax Cassie out of her shell was an hour taken away from dogs who were easier to adopt. The rescue team lived in a state of constant, low-grade exhaustion. They were volunteers giving up their weekends and their peace of mind, fueled by a moral duty that often felt like a heavy weight. When Cassie arrived, the tension was palpable. She wouldn't eat if anyone was watching. She wouldn't move if a light was on. It felt less like a rescue and more like they were watching a candle flicker out in the wind. The sensory experience of the room was stifling. The smell of sterile floor cleaner, the distant, frantic barking of other dogs, and in the center of it all, the chilling, absolute silence of Cassie's corner. Days turned into a week, and the doubt began to creep in. Even the most seasoned veterinarians were starting to whisper. They had seen shut-down dogs before, but Cassie was a vacuum. One vet pulled the lead rescuer aside and said what everyone was thinking. You might be keeping her in a state of prolonged trauma. If she can't even look at a human without trembling, is it kind to keep her here? Neighbors and donors started to ask why so much energy was being poured into a dog that refused to be a dog. The mystery of her past hung over them like a shroud. What could have possibly happened to make a creature want to be invisible? They tried everything. Volunteers brought their laptops and sat in her room for hours, just working in silence so she could hear the sound of typing and breathing. They played soft classical music. They left trails of high-value treats that remained untouched until the dead of night. But the breakthrough didn't come from a human. It came during a moment of pure desperation when they decided to let another dog near the door. Suddenly, the ghost moved. It wasn't an attack and it wasn't a retreat. For the first time, Cassie's tail gave a microscopic twitch. As soon as she saw a member of her own kind trusting the humans, the wall she had built around herself didn't just crack, it shattered. She didn't just walk out, she reached out. The dangerous fear they had all been managing wasn't a permanent condition. It was a plea for a translator. Once she saw that the other dogs were safe, she realized the humans were the bridge, not the barrier. This led to the ultimate test, a foster home. In those first few days, the tension remained. Would she regress? Would the quiet of a house trigger the old ghosts? But her foster siblings became her guides. Seeing Cassie wag her tail for the first time was like watching a color film begin in a black and white world. She began to snuggle, to play, and for the first time in her life, to act like the puppy she was meant to be. However, the final hurdle was the hardest. Adoption events came and went. Potential families would walk past her, drawn to the more outgoing dogs. It felt like Cassie was being rejected all over again for the very trauma she had worked so hard to overcome. But then, the mystery of her heart was finally solved. A family walked in and they weren't looking for a perfect dog. They were looking for her. They even had a dog at home who looked like her mirror image. Today, Cassie doesn't hide in corners. She occupies the center of the living room, the center of the bed, and the center of her family's lives. She proved every skeptic wrong and showed that invisible dogs are often just waiting for the right person to finally see them. Her journey reminds us that no soul is ever truly lost. They are sometimes just waiting for the world to become quiet enough for them to feel safe.